This is the Rays POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Tampa Bay Rays, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to an episode of the Locked On Rays POSTCAST. My name is Jonathan Shields. Make sure you guys go follow me on Twitter at Johnny10Shields. And we're not going to be able to say this for much longer as the Rays win. With only 4 games left, the Rays, as Gary alluded to yesterday, need to win every single game to finish at 500. And what's been a turbulent season, to say the least. But the Rays looked as dominant as ever today. And, the Rays got 11 hits to the Orioles, just 3. A little sloppy in the first inning with a few errors, but Shane Baz looked good in his last outing, so not a lot to complain about from Rays fans today. And this one, we're going to talk about how Shane Baz, even though it was a short but a strong last start, how the Rays really dominated for a majority of the game, and how I'm really high on this team for next year. We're going to speak on that a little bit, and we're going to look ahead to the final game tomorrow. But first, we got to talk about how the offense bounced back in a big way.
This is what you'll be talking about.
So yesterday, the Rays did not score, and thankfully, Brandon Lowe did not allow that to happen again. Right in the first inning, he rips a double and 2 batters in. The Rays were leading. Chandler Simpson has that average right back up to 300. It'd be cool if him and Yannick would both finish right at over 300. And the Rays scored 1 run in the first 3 innings. That's the type of bounce back that this offense really needed, right? And when Brandon Lowe gets hot, it looks like he's getting hot again. When he's hot, he's hot. When he's cold, he is ice cold. So when Brandon Lowe, who's having, I think, the best season of his career, when he's rolling like he is now, it is very, very, very hard to stop. And this Rays lineup becomes just even more potent. So it's good to see Richie Palacios get a 3 for 4 actually after he hasn't played in a little bit. Jake Mangum, who saw that power coming out of Mangum, man? It was good. It was good, really good to see that there. So big bounce back for the offense. End up with 11 hits. End up drawing a walk as well. Caused Baltimore to commit 2 errors as well. Again, 4 errors combined in the game. The Rays had theirs in the first inning. Outside the first inning, the Rays played some pretty solid baseball. So again, Tristian Gray just keeps on producing. That's another guy had an RBI double that when you see, it's just like, okay, he looks way more comfortable than he did. There was a point where I said on this podcast that Tristian Gray was the worst hitter in MLB because he was when he first came up and he wasn't playing every day, but he's really settled into his role. Hunter Fedducia is another guy. Gary asked a question about the catcher situation yesterday, and I said that I don't know if the Rays have their everyday catcher, for they're gonna move in the new stadium, they're like how Junior's a franchise third baseman, right? The Rays don't have that at catcher right now, but the Rays have 2 really good number 2 options in my opinion, and and Fedducia is one of them, and he continues to really comfortable at the plate. But let's get to our turning point on this game because it came early.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Obviously, when the Rays scored the 3 runs, that is big. So that was all the Rays ended up needed. But I think when Tristian Gray hit that double in the 6th inning, that was kind of like the final dagger. And then you get obviously the junior single or the junior ground out after that scores Chandler, as Chandler was once again all over the base pass. But yeah, those insurance runs, when the Rays were going good, those insurance runs were coming in droves. And, now that things have slowed down a little bit, we haven't seen those as much. So it was very good to see those insurance runs come back to light. And I think it was a big part of why the Rays were able to come out on top. But another reason why the Rays were able to come out on top was because of Brandon Lowe, who's our player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Brandon Lowe in his first 2 at-bats had 2 RBIs, a double, and a home run. He was halfway to the cycle, and that's all he needed to become the player of the game tonight. Like I said, when he's hot and he can track that breaking ball, you always know he's always been a really good fastball hitter. But when he gets that barrel to it, man, he has some of the most impressive power in the major leagues, and he's had the best season out of any second baseman, in my opinion, in Major League Baseball this year. If Brandon Lowe can replicate his season, if Yandy can be like he was last year, and I'm asking a lot that Aranda and Junior can be similar like they were this year, I think the Rays are going to be right back in playoff contention this year because I think their starting pitching is going to be better. I think they're going to get some more out of the outfield. So obviously Brandon Lowe is a big part of that. The Rays are going to pick up his option. If they don't, I will already start to boycott the new ownership, but we don't have to worry about that because if the Rays weren't going to pick up his option, he was going to be traded at the deadline. Same thing with kind of Pete Fairbanks was going bad for a little bit. And everyone was like, oh, he's washed. Why didn't the Rays trade him? It's because the Rays see a future with him, right? And he's going to be on the roster next year for sure. So Brandon Lowe is the player of the game. 7 out of the 9 hitters got hits today and 3 multi-hit games. And Reggie Palacios, man, he looked impressive. He was 3 for 3 until his last at bat there in the 8th inning. And he's a guy that when you look at next year, he can play everywhere. He can play left field, he can play right field, he can play second base. I remember there was a game last year we pitched at shortstop. I even remember a game where he played first. He's kind of that utility man like Jose Caballero was, right? And it's going to be interesting those last few roster spots, whether it's Taylor Wallace, Tristian Gray, Richie Palacios, right? Where the Rays are going to go to there. It's going to be really interesting what the Rays are going to do in the offseason with this team. But let's talk about Shane Baz and his last outing of the year. Went 4 innings, no hits, three walks, and 3 strikeouts. And again, Shane Baz almost wanted to allow some stuff, but he got that big double play in the 3rd inning. That was a big sticking out point for him and his outing today. And obviously it helps when his stuff has never been the issue. It's been the location of the stuff. And when he locates it, it's extremely hard to hit. But, he got in a little trouble with the 3 walks, but he didn't let it hurt too much, right? The 3rd inning was as close as it got to hurting him. And he was able to get the big double play nicely turned by Richie to get out of that. So, yeah, I mean, look, Shane Baz next year is going to be his make or break year. He's going back to Tropicana. He has pitched well there in his career. And when you look at his stats, obviously this was his first full season in the major leagues. He finishes going 10-12 with a 4.87 ERA. He ends up throwing right at 170 innings. So that's a really good number for him. And last year in 80 innings, he had a 3 ERA. He went 4-3 with a 3 ERA. So we've seen Shane Baz at his absolute highest this year, and it's dominant, right? But Shane Baz, when he goes back, kind of like Taj Bradley, he's as bad as anyone. So hopefully the Rays can get some more consistency out of him going into next year. But yeah, the Rays dominated most of the game. Never really a doubt after that 3rd inning the Rays going to hold on. Baker gives up some runs to his former team late, but again, not worried about him too much as the Rays were just trying to get through the game. But we'll still talk about why I think the future looks really bright, and we'll look ahead to the game tomorrow right after this. This episode is brought to you by Rougiet. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're going for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiet Go Long. That's exactly where Rougiet Go Long comes in. This isn't just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. And it combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in 1 dual actions formula, so you can get hard and go the distance. Get ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom. Head to rugiet.com and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Make sure you use the code so they know that us at Locked On sent you. This episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Unfortunately, Game Time cannot help you to get race tickets for the rest of this year, but if you already want to book that flight to St. Louis and book tickets for opening day, you can with Game Time. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy of the crowd, the chants, and then the chance to see your team in person. But actually getting tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, login screens, and surprise fees takes all the fun out of it. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives you the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all the fees are included. So the price you see is the price that you pay. And fees being included is huge now. You know the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go download Game Time today. And lastly, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season's here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And FanDuel is the best. You can do player props, in-game parlays, same-game parlays. It's the best app to sports bet. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. So if you guys are in the live, make sure you guys leave a like and comment. We'll be getting to that momentarily. But again, I'm really high on this Rays team going into 2026. I think they'll return a really good, a top 3 third baseman MLB, a top 3 first baseman in Major League Baseball, a top 3 second baseman in Major League Baseball. There's not many teams in baseball that you can say that about. Now, it's arguable if you think Rondo's top 5, which he probably is more top 5. There's not many teams that have a top 5 third baseman, top 5 second baseman, top 5 third baseman. If you want to throw Yandy into there, I think Yandy's one of the 10 best hitters of the ball in baseball. So I think the Rays infield is going to look really good. What are they going to do at shortstop? Is Carson Williams going to be the guy next year? It's going to be huge. Are the Rays going to bring another catcher? Are they going to roll with Fortes and Fedducia? Because it was just a revolving door at catcher this year. The past 2 years really hasn't been good. But you guys heard me say it. They need a right-handed bat that they can depend on in the outfield. Now, they might just roll with John DeLuca for a whole year, but I don't think you can because he hasn't proved to stay healthy. He was hurt at the beginning of last year. He's been hurt. Everson Pereira has more at-bats than DeLuca this year. It's kind of as simple as that to say. So I think Josh Lowe's make or break year is going to be next year. It's going to be great to get a full year Chandler, but I don't think you can really go a full year with having an outfield with both Chandler Stidham and Jake Mangum because the power number is never going to be there. Ironic because Jake Mangum hit a home run today, but you can't have a combined 3 home runs by 2 of your outfield guys, right? It's just not going to get it done. So both those guys are going to be on the roster, but who's going to be that 4th, 5th outfielder, right? It's going to be DeLuca. Is it going to be Morel, right? Do the Rays trust him a little bit more? But I don't think the Rays can run back the same team and kind of expect the Rays to all of a sudden jump up 10, 12 wins. So let's look ahead to the game tomorrow. Last game against Baltimore until 2026. It's going to be Drew Rasmussen on the mound for the Rays. He'll make his last start of his stellar 2025 season, 10-5, 2.8 ERA. He'll be going up against Cade Povich, the lefty. Against so far this year, he's 3-8 with a 5 ERA. So has not been great for Povich so far this year, and it'll be his first start against the Rays this year. But his last time out against the Yankees, 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned, 5 strikeouts, 4 walks, and his walk number is what's been concerning for Orioles fans. He's been walking a whole lot of batters. But let's get to the comments as we will start with Gary as it goes almost a complete antithesis of last night's game. Good to see a Rays victory in spite of the circumstances. 500 is still within the realm of possibility. Yeah, I would bet against it. The Rays might end up with the same record as last year. They went 80-82 last year. Very similar to that. It might end up that way. As we go, Jack Takes says, nice to see J-Lo doing some nice fielding too. Yeah, he's always been kind of an underrated fielder in my opinion because he does a lot for a long time. Let's go, Lauren Kendrick. So Jonathan POSTCAST forever. Yeah, unfortunately they'll end next week, but I really hope all you guys will tune in next year as well as we continue to build this brand. I appreciate Lauren and Gary being in here, filling up the comment section. As we go to I Love Legacy says, good evening, missed the game last night, but a good bounce back win after a disastrous performance yesterday. Yeah, it was a disastrous performance yesterday. Good to get this bounce back win. As we go back to Gary says, is there a team more likely to come out of the AL than the Seattle Mariners? They seem to be peaking right now. It seems like they haven't lost a game since the Rays swept them. Yeah, maybe I'll do my playoff predictions in the last episode, but I actually kind of lean the Yankees because when you're playing these 5-game series, because you don't play a 7-game series until the ALCS, pitching matters so much. And I don't think outside of Skubal and Garrett Crochet, I don't know if there's a better 1-2 punch than Rodon and Fried right now in the American League. And you can argue, Gilbert and Wu and Castile, yes, they are deep, but I don't know if I trust them more than those two. So I think the Yankees have the best lineup. But look, if the Mariners came out, I gun in my head right now, I might pick the Mariners to come out. But if whoever makes the playoffs in the American League, if you said, oh, they came out, I would be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. There's going to be 7 teams make the playoffs, and I fully believe, or 6 teams make the playoffs, and I fully believe that any 6 of them are going to be, eligible to. They wouldn't surprise me if they made the World Series now. And the National League is a little bit more top heavy. I mean, there's 5 teams there that could also come out, but I think if the World Series, if the one of the World Series is not a National League team, I would be surprised. As we go to Gary says, the Astros and Tigers are really going through it right now. Yeah, what's going on with the Tigers specifically is a collapse like we might never see again in the history of baseball. I mean, 15.5 games up. I don't think you guys understand how insane that is. 15.5 games up on the Guardians. And the Guardians are not going to take a 1-game lead after they win tonight. Just incredible. And now you guys know I've said it on here. I was never very high on the Tigers to begin with, but I never saw a collapse like this. And in the 5-game series, they were set up best because Skubal gets to pitch 2 of those games, but he's looked more human now recently. So again, if you guys are in here, please make sure to leave a like and comment before we get out of here. As again, there's only 4 games left, man. Crazy. We've done over 130 some of these. We'll end up doing right around 140. And it's just crazy that the season is just wrapping up just like this. So postseason baseball is as fun as ever. Unfortunately, we don't get the Rays in the playoffs, but hopefully we get some Troptober action going into next year. So again, I appreciate all you guys for joining. Make sure you guys leave a like and comment and subscribe before you guys head out of here. And again, afternoon game tomorrow, so we'll be starting right on 3:34 for the postcast. and last getaway game of the season. It's a lot of last going to the last series. So again, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon.